Hello guys. So I was asked to talk about Grandeur, the new special boss. Well, actually, there's a new one since, but we know what I'm talking about. When I was asked, she was the newest one. So the question was, is she worth using in a free man whirlwind bag? So right off the bat, I'm just going to say no to that. Now I'm going to talk about her in a four-man bag, and even then, it's still not that great. Now the first thing you want to do, especially if you wanted to use her, would be max transcender or amplify power up her. They keep changing the name of this thing. Just max that out because she is going to be lacking stats, especially because she's a special character. They tend to have lower stats by base. And on top of it, she doesn't have an E, so you want to be able to counter that just by giving her every Transcend, who's extremely easy if you're farming that weekend match. Now, let's look at her kit and see what's good, what's bad, and why I advise or don't advise her. First thing is, she's got the DR active. Now, Mariel also has that, so we already know it's going to go at 30%. 20% for 1.5 Spirit Bar is kind of high, I find. I mean, it's low in the sense that spirits cost high. So 30%, that's going to be pretty cool. Now, the thing is, we know it's going to take forever for that E, so let's look at it as 20%. If you can pull it off, you do need to know that if anyone dies, they lose it. For the goalkeeper, it isn't that bad of a deal. But again, most units have that as a permanent line buff in backline, and the backline is the people who need this kind of buff the most. So right there, I'm going to be saying not worth using for that. Now this is maybe the one skill that she's kind of cool. Increased defense and critical resistance of allies within position. Now defense does mean increase in co-op defense chance, who's going to have a pretty good value of her kit. Plus critical resistance, if you're going for a critical resistance build, combined with her active, could be interesting. But again, some players can just do it better. For example, Silk. Retaliations. Increase the damage at enemy within the position by 10% for 5 minutes when being attacked, accumulates up to 2 times. So that basically means you have 20% DI if you're attacked 2 times. With the co-op defense, it's pretty good. Since it's a debuff, it doesn't matter if you die when being shot at. But again, increasing the damage they receive in front line is usually not a big issue. Since utility front is basically dead, you don't want to have to waste an entire skill on damaging them. I mean, it's not that valuable. That's the same reason why virtual users don't max out the life decreasing skill last. Increase max life and reflex, 30, 30. I mean, that skill's pretty nice. It just means she's a little bit more decent. Now, is she worth using? I personally don't think she's worth using. Maybe in a four-man bag, and if you know what you're using. I'm not saying she's bad, just you really need to be aware of what you're doing. You might be able to find value, but even then, you're going to wait for the E. In a free man, that's just a no, because you could be running some more powerful units, ideally some legends. You got to put a place for Magnus. You need a place for Kiki, ideally a place for Silk, maybe a Samir in there. And already there, you have 4 units, and none of them are named Grandeur. So that's kind of the issue, because if this was a line buff, then it would be worth it, but it's not. So just having a bit of defense and critical resistance from a totem is pretty bad. So I hope this helps people understand why I don't think she's worth it. Now, if you look at the position center back, it's a backline unit. There's nothing wrong with it. It's going to be increasing reflex, life steal. If you go on the side, it's passive recovery. That's just very standard. Stone-wise, I gotta say it does look cool. Depending on what you're missing in your backline, you can play with that. You can throw an EMB. You can throw the new Whirlwind Unique with a long ass name. I don't know what that would be. Maybe Calm Icicle, like this she shot at, she get DR, she can move fast and pull off her active. That is an option though. So there's really a lot of different builds. Again, it's going to be up to you. There's no ideal build because we need to know exactly what you're aiming for. If you're going for a DR back, if you're going for a critical resistant back, do you want her to be using your spirit or not? So there's a lot of factors that are going to come into the build. And again, she's a newer player. Not a lot of people are using her, so I can't judge from experience in her case. But I wanted to give just like the main key points of how you should be running her. So again, don't use in free man. In four man, you could. Hope this helps you guys understand the basics about her. And again, if you have any questions, comment right down in the description below. Have a good day.